Talking about musicians and cool things and stuff. It's the Holly and Josh Show.
Hello!
Holla at you, girl. Welcome to the Holly and Josh Show.
Yeah, welcome. How are you?
I am still Josh.
And I'm still Harley.
After 2 weeks, I don't know how we've kept up our identities.
I've missed you, man.
Well, you haven't.
I've missed you so much.
Thank
man.
you. Well, we've been hanging out in those 2 weeks, and we'll tell you about it soon.
Oh yeah. That seems like so long ago.
I know, right?
Literally like 8 days ago.
Yeah, no, nothing. Weeks. So this week we've got some music by GalliThe Vagaband and Pessimist, whoop, whoop, as well as we've got some music news about Tunecore making $1 million a day, apparently, for independent artists.
As well as the downfall of Pledge Music.
Yeah, well, if we get time to talk about that, because we might talk about that with Mr. Daniel Lee Harvey.
We have a lot.
Week.
We have a lot to catch up on this week.
But your interesting point of thing I thought about this morning, this week, Harley came up with this one with Lady J.
Yes, the star effect, or about typecasting musicians.
That's very interesting, and I'm looking forward to that. But before that, Harley, I need to know what you did. What'd you do?
I like how it sounded like you were in the other room for that. Like, wait a minute, I'm just going to run into another room and then I'll be back.
I had to run.
What'd you do? Right, well, we've got a lot to catch up on. I've missed you so. I've been doing lots of work doing OpenRich conferences the last couple of weeks. What?
Who's a rich and why you open him up?
Well, I didn't say what. Oh, OpenRich. Oh, that's it. I couldn't work out what you were punning there. I'm so tired. Yes. So OpenReach is a company that lay down fiber networks for internet stuffs. Mm-hmm. For anyone who didn't know, one of the largest fiber networking companies on the planet, or in England at least.
Other fiber networks are available.
Oh yes, they are. And it was really, really quite fun. It was a long hours and stuff. A lot of 6 a.m. starts followed by midnight finishes and stuff like that.
Ooh, no thanks.
I didn't do as much sound work as I'd hoped, but with these kind of jobs, you are literally just there making sure everything runs smoothly.
Right.
So even if you're a sound tech like myself, or an AV tech like Oliver was, or Joe was also a sound tech, if someone says, "Can you tape up a cable," which is kind of sound work, I guess, but or even something like, can you move some chairs?
Right.
Your job is to make sure that the event runs smoothly.
Nice.
And it doesn't matter what your job title is. You've just got to make sure it happens, because that's what people need, is people that go that extra 10%.
What kind of equipment were you using?
So, in terms of, I had my own room upstairs for one of the workshops. I was using just a basic 8-channel analog desk because we only had 2 microphones. This was for a Guinness Book of World Record attempt.
Most men on top of Harley's shoulders.
It was the most high tens in 3 minutes.
What? So double high fives?
Double high fives above the head.
Right.
Yep.
That's very specific as well.
Oh, very specific. Unfortunately, they didn't make it. We had some other world record attempts that were very close.
Right.
But they didn't quite qualify.
Were there people there with clipboards just looking very unimpressed?
There was a official adjudicator there from the Guinness Book of World Records. Me and him are very good friends.
Hey, adjudicator.
He came up to me and said that I looked like a footballer. A specific footballer, not just generically.
Right.
I'm not that athletic.
You look like you got good feet.
Yeah, and yes.
No. I saw where you were going there.
Read between the lines, ladies and gentlemen. And it was quite funny, actually, because we were packing down and we chatted and stuff, and he was like, he was telling me about his job. He goes all around the world ticking boxes of people doing world record attempts.
What a job.
I know, right? And he's very specific. He's a very nice guy.
He must see some weird stuff.
Yeah. He told me a few. Some I can't repeat.
The most dreads on eyebrows.
Oh, yeah. The longest eyebrow dreads. You should dread your moustache.
I think, kind of.
It would look like I had
smell real bad.
Oh, yeah, with all the food and the wax.
Yummy.
Yeah, so they... Yeah, so he was talking about that, and as we were packing down, the project manager came upstairs to see me packing down my room, and this guy was done, and he was, mate, he says, I'm now off. I was like, oh man, well, it was good to meet you, good chilling, and
by the way, you just won the world record for the fastest pack down.
It was a very fast pack down. It was world record speed, actually. It was very good. And I was like, yeah man, good to see you. Hopefully see you again soon. And as he walked off, my project manager went, oh, do you know him? I went, yeah, we go way back.
Yeah.
He went, oh, right. He goes, how do you know him? I was like, oh, I know him from when I did my world record attempt. He's like, oh, what was that for? And I was like, oh, damn it, I couldn't think of one quick enough.
No.
I nearly had him.
Worst 2 till 3 radio show in Ipswich.
Afterwards, I realised my mind was going through most backflips in 4 seconds.
All right.
But
most mental backflips.
Most mental backflips. Yeah, I just couldn't be quick enough. So if anyone thinks of any world records that they think that I could have attempted, so next time someone asks me, I can say what world record I have.
Oh, tweet it at Harley C.
Yep. What world record attempts could I pull off?
Yeah.
So there we go. Most
annoying host to partner with. I mean, you're talking about me here.
Mean.
Yeah, on myself.
Self-meanie.
Self-meanie. So, yeah, what else did you do, Harley?
So, I mean, it's been a couple of weeks. So, I talk about, we did a Hopeful's Geeks, you've already talked about that. I ran the PA for the Casual Nausea album launch.
Wow, yes.
Which was on the 4th of May at the Steamboat. That was amazing. It's the first time I've been to that venue since they've had all the refurbished done.
Yeah, I've not been there yet.
Check it out. It's really cool. It's opened the place right up. You can actually stand in front of the band.
What do you reckon the capacity is now?
Oh, that's a good question. Like they've certainly added a lot of people they can have in there.
Yeah.
Because it's quite well done, and there's fire exits and stuff in the appropriate places.
Nice.
I don't really know what the capacity is, but the bar staff were saying when they first did it, they found it so weird because as soon as the band started, the bar was empty because people didn't have to spill out over the bar.
Of course.
So it was really good for them to kind of be able to do that.
Separate it a bit.
There was a lot of controversy over the female toilets because it used to be just a single toilet for the girls' loos, and now there's 3 separate cubicles.
My goodness.
And a lot of the girls are saying, this is great, I don't have to queue. Some people were complaining because they went, I met some of my closest friends queuing for the toilets in the Steamboat. so
can't please some people, can you?
I know, right? Can't please them, but they're doing a really cool job there.
And Rayna's given us some facts. Says the capacity was about 100, now it's around 150.
That's great.
So it's actually another 50 partners that you can get in there.
Yeah, and I don't know if they still do a ticket sale thing on the door, but that really means that's an extra yield for the bands who are taking door.
I remember when they used to do stuff outside Underline the Sky, used to get about 180, 200 people in there.
Yeah.
And that would be like, having trouble breathing.
Yeah, that's it.
Redonkulous. So what else have you been doing, Harley?
What else have I been doing? So that was like last week. Of course, on the 5th we did a gig ourselves.
Right. We did indeed.
And that was great.
That was really cool.
That was really good. Did you talk about... Oh, no, we didn't, because it was bank holiday last week.
Yeah.
So, we did Cosmic Puffin.
I know.
And it was great. It was awesome. Thank you very much for having me play with you.
Puffin Cosmics.
Yeah.
Yes, no, it was a real bloody pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure.
It was nice. I got a selfie with you guys, with you and Raina. It was nice.
I like that one, I do.
It was really cool. It was good fun, and the sound on stage, I think we got really lucky because I was thinking big loud stage with loads of big monitors.
Yeah.
I've got a big hollow double bass.
Yeah.
And I managed to get it right on the edge without making it like feedback too much.
I think it's your compressor did the job on that one though.
I actually turned it off.
Did you?
Yeah,
okay,
I turned it off.
Mistaken.
I found it was feeding back more because it was raising the noise floor. But what I had is I said to the stage engineer, don't put the double bass through the monitor because the DI was going before the amp and the amp had a graphic. So I just notched out all the frequencies that it was feeding back. So I just got what I needed.
Oh, that's great.
It meant I didn't quite have the low end that I wanted, but it was coming out front anyway.
Yeah,
so
they get some good stuff.
That's the main. Yeah, it was a really nice system. Cool. Then I was in Twickenham for 4 days working with BT OpenReach, doing those conferences. Came back just in time for a nice gig at Sweffling with Lady J.
At the White Horse.
At the White Horse.
Oh, very nice.
And that was awesome. Swaffing. It was. I mean, you've been there, have you? Have you been to the White Horse?
Yes, we played there. Murray and I played there about 2-3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, and we packed the place.
Good.
Which it means about 30 people.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have that.
They were great. Some guy turned up, full pirate regalia.
Yes.
It was amazing, and he was awesome, and he gave me a gold coin.
The balloon.
And they're really good. The way they work there is the pub pays a fee, but they also put a hat out because they don't pay particularly well because they're a very rootsy venue.
Yeah, and they're small, so they can't get loads of people in there.
Yeah, but they put a hat out for those people who really enjoy it. They can put a couple of quid in.
Yeah.
And we actually that what was in the hat was more than what the pub paid. Yeah. So overall, it was a really successful night for us in our pocket, but we really had loads of fun with it.
Really interesting thing that Webby from ICR's show Mouthpiece, which is actually currently going on at the moment. But please don't go over there because stay with me, please. He put up a great picture the other day of a quote to a venue in Oxford in 1969 by an agency for bands that were playing at the time.
Was this in the summer of 69?
I don't know, maybe it was probably about the winter.
Okay.
Sidestep. But the thing is, so the bands that were on those, so it was saying, this date, these are the bands that we have on our agency that are free on that date. And they had Fleetwood Mac, Deep Purple.
Was Pink Floyd on there?
Pink Floyd was on there. I think I saw Black Sabbath and the Rolling Stones. And so, back then, they weren't as big names as they are now, but they were pretty big names.
Yeah.
But, next to them it would say the prices that they were charging. And obviously, adjusting for inflation, the most expensive band on there was £500. And that was Fleetwood Mac.
Oh, was it Fleetwood Mac?
And I think Pink Floyd were actually pretty low on there because obviously they hadn't had all the excessive success of Dark Side of the Moon at that point. And that was, crikey, how much? They were £250.
They probably would be cheaper because the venue also has to pay out for the electricity bill for all the lighting.
Yeah, exactly right. The flying lotus disco
all of that. And the giant pig.
Yes, exactly. But so the thing is with that, the venues haven't upped how much they're spending, even adjusting for inflation. Webby was like, check out how much a pint of milk was and how much of a pint was.
Yeah.
And it was about 50p for a pint of beer at that point.
And it's not that much. I mean, you're talking, that's 7 times more on average for a pint. The average pint price is £3.50 nowadays.
Right. So, but the price for bands hasn't increased 7 times, is it? And actually it has decreased because, those bands are big bands. So 500 quid for a big band, if you wanted to pay, for Pink Floyd now, you're looking at least sort of 50 grand.
Yeah, that's it.
So, if that, right?
Yeah.
It would be more than that. So
after paying electricity bill.
Yes, of course. And all the set pieces. But, so I don't know. It's kind of you can see why, because taxes have risen, and certain beers have got more expensive because of the taxes that are on them.
Yeah, the markup's not great on those. Yeah. So for pubs really struggle, even though, like I say, you go to a place and you'll complain that you're spending £5 on a pint, which I've done many times over the very short space of time in the last couple of weeks, being in London and stuff like that. But the profit on those sort of things aren't as high as they used to be because there's so much tax and stuff. It's making it harder for people to leave their house.
The Borderline in London is just announced it's closing.
Yeah.
In Soho, because
that's a real shame.
That is a real shame, and that's literally because of business rates and taxes, and then their rent has increased twice since DHP, I think, the company that owns it, bought the place. So, well, took over the lease. So, hopefully that will stick there. But it just shows, places like the Swaffham, I get that they can't spend that money, but there's got to be something done.
If you are ever in that area, go down to the White Horse, because it's just a really nice vibe.
So old.
It's a really old, it precedes bars.
1500s.
You ask for a pint, there's a chalkboard with what drinks they have, and they go into the tap room, they pour it for you, and they bring it out to your seat.
Amazing, isn't it?
It's not crazy, it's not expensive at all, it's really affordable, they're really nice people, and you meet some really nice people there, everyone's there for a good time. It's just a really friendly place to be.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's great, mate. What else have you been doing?
The final gig of my weekend was has been a long time coming. Was the well-famed Schubert Dip gig that we had.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if I've talked about this too much, but it consisted of, it was somewhat of a super group, isn't it? Myself on bass, Raina Vell on drums, Andy Bartlett on
Yes.
guitar, Bronwyn Cooper on piano and vocals,
From Along the Sky.
and Rob Lewis on guitar and vocals.
From just Rob Lewis, the legend.
Yes, from Rob Lewis.
Rob Legend Lewis.
And it was amazing. It was great. We played pretty much 3 hours straight.
Wow.
We started at 10, we finished at 1. I think we had like a 15-minute break, 16 and a half minute break in the middle, because we had a little music playlist,
Yeah.
because it was for Schofield's removal company.
Okay.
So Rob made a super mix of songs all about moving. And he, yep, that was all in there.
Keep on moving, don't stop, no.
And there was 16 and a half minutes where we had a break. They went out, fixed a couple of leads because they had a couple of leads break down and stuff like that.
Keep on moving on anyway.
Straight on, and we went all the way to 1 o'clock, and when we had to stop, and they didn't want us to, but then we
I
had
bet.
to stop, and it was really good fun. Me and Raina had great fun, being able to play together. We don't do it enough. Consider how good friends we are. We very rarely gig together, so it was nice to sort of gig with him 2 weeks in a row.
I know. It was good to have you and Raina on stage with me at Cosmic Puffin, because it was just,
we vibe quite well, and it's
it was like a
fun.
podcast on stage, wasn't it?
It was. And it was amazing fun. It was really good. And I got to thank Rob for hiring me for that, and thank the rest of the band for making it such an awesome event. We had so much fun, and we're talking about doing more as much more as we can.
Well, I hope so too, and I hope I get to see it again. It was wonderful. So well done, mate. Harley did stuff. Well done, buddy. Super dip. So I'm going to be thinking more of it now. Right, before we get on to what did for the last week, 2 weeks, let's listen to Good Effort by Pessimist. This is an absolutely great album, and they're playing locally this week. Check it out. That was Good Effort by Pessimist. You can get that on iTunes. The album is absolutely amazing. I'm a massive fan. Well done, Kai, Kieran, and Sam. And their new person drumming with them is Todd Emanuel, who used to play with me in Who's Driving, Bears Driving, and in A Fate Untold. So they're going to be playing this weekend. Stick around for the gig list for that.
Nice.
So thank you for tuning in, everybody. This is the Harley and Josh Show. We've got. I'm just going to talk about what I've got up for the last couple weeks now.
Please do.
But so we had our show in Claydon at the Greyhound. That was loads of fun to share a stage with you for that one. Sound was really good.
Nice,
we were playing everything but reggae.
But reggae.
But reggae and butts. The reggae sauce. So after that, since I spoke to you guys last, I was called in a last minute panic by M from Three Wise Monkeys in Ipswich because they had a band playing on the Saturday, so not last weekend, weekend before, was it? No, it was last weekend.
Yeah.
So, no, wait. So it was last weekend, the weekend before.
4th of May.
Yes. So, they've got a system at Three Wise Monkeys, which is great. I think all venues that have live music,
especially those who are doing original music,
yes, should have their own PA, because not every band does, and they shouldn't be expected to bring them all the time. But they didn't have a sound engineer, so I was a nice little last ditch effort. They were like, can you do it? I was like, yeah, it was great. And it was loads of fun, actually, because I got there nice and early, got some food, got a discount because I was there working. Plus I got some 50 quid, which is, so when I'm not doing something on Saturday, I didn't have anything. Well, my plans were to go to that gig.
That's it. And that's going to happen more and more with places like Three Wise Monkeys.
So, I got 50 quid for it. Set up all the mics. It was a really, really neat stage, but the band didn't turn up until like an hour after they were supposed to be there. Ooh. So I was just twiddling my thumbs, but I was all ready to go.
Yeah.
Got there. It's very difficult, like you said, about sort of ringing out that room, just to try not to get loads of feedback in the monitors. Seeing as all the monitors have to be linked, so you can't have individual monitoring for each member of the band. You've only got 2 monitors. Got around it. It was a really good gig, and it was just really fun to just work with the band. They do a lot of like West African jazz and sort of Afro beat, and it was really nice to just work with that, because they do some quite dubby stuff. So I just had some really nice delays that I would just chuck on every once in a while, just to a vocal, to the saxophone, or to a snare drum sort of thing.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. And also, even when the guitarist would have a delay effect on, I would just add another delay effect on, so it was like. So that was really nice to just jump back into doing a bit of sound work. And yeah, check out Nebula Sun. They've got some really nice tracks up on streaming services, just for sort of like if you're having a summery day.
Yeah,
that's what they're good for, I think, because they sound a bit exotic.
More of those in the pipeline, hopefully.
Yes, exactly. Summaries. We had our Cosmic Puffin show, which you touched on, which was really fun. That was I was there with Goofer Dust.
That's it, yeah.
And
that was a really, really good show.
It was really fun set, wasn't it? We hadn't rehearsed together for about 2 months, I think it was. No, that's not quite true. We'd played a gig within a month, but we hadn't rehearsed for 2 months anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really fun because we've just got the new CDs out, and that was the first show that we were able to sell them. So we shifted a couple of them, which was really nice, and got to play some of these tracks that I've been listening to and going back over and doing lyric videos for and doing extra releases, and I end up sort of getting to play them. I love it.
Nice.
Just the only problem is just playing on stage when you forget your earplugs with both Ben Diffley and Giles King.
Yeah,
one per ear, getting them in stereo. I was just blasted by the end of that. I was just like, I can't hear a thing now. It was painful. Could barely hear myself. But it was really nice to play some really dirty blues to a dirty hippie crowd. It was lovely. Really nice people there. I think they raised. How much did they raise? I think they raised about $3 or $4 grand
That's
for their
amazing.
charity, which
That's
is really,
great.
really good. So well done, guys. Last musical thing that I've done, which is of note, I went to Ipswich.
See what you did there.
On the Triple Cliff, was at Ipswich Record Fair. It's the first one they've had in 20 years at the Town Hall in Cool Exchange. I don't think they've had a record fair in Ipswich for a long time. So, well, actually, no, that's not true. Actually, Steve Langdon does do them at the Tourist Information Centre opposite the Butter Market, so with the old church there. But yeah, it's the first one they've had in the Town Hall in a long time, and that was great. Took Daniel Lee Harvey along there.
Nice.
Shout out, buddy. He's who's dealing with some pain and using music to get through it. So we just sort of wandered around. Had Steve Langdon with his stall there, and Ricky Flagg was there with his record stall. I got a couple of records from there. Got Red Flag 77 album,
nice,
their most recent one, and I got Dropkick Murphys album as well, which he recommended because I'm looking for piratey sounding things. I do like Dropkick Murphys, but I've never actually had an album. I've just listened to singles. Also got a not Sgt. Pepper's, Magical Mystery Tour, the Beatles album, and it's got a picture book inside there. Really lovely 2009 remaster of it, and it's my favourite Beatles album is the Magical Mystery Tour. It's not. It's less of an album, more of a compilation, because there's loads of the songs that are on there are just singles.
Yeah.
But it came out released as an album, and it just did really well, and I absolutely adore it. It was one of my nan's favourite.
That's
she
awesome.
also used to listen to it. So yeah, that was really, really, really nice, and it was just really good to run into John Adams from Red Flag 77 and from Waxy's Dargle, just talking about what was it like growing up being a musician, and the kind of stuff he got into, and the kind of scrapes that he and Ricky used to get into on tour and things.
Yeah,
it's really fun to listen to.
Nice.
Yeah,
man.
just some East Town Pirates stories as well. I get them from Rainer, but it's nice to hear him from Ricky. And just
he's a good storyteller.
He's a good storyteller, yeah. But yeah, so it was really nice to just sort of not be performing, but be surrounded by music-minded people, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's why I love going to festivals and things, is because there are people there that love their scene, and they're not there to promote themselves. They're just there to experience music. And I think that's one thing that we desperately need in every single music scene, is people that practice what they preach. It's like, if you are if you're out there gigging and you have some time off, it's just going to gigs and just talking to other musicians and finding out what people are about, and being a fan, just being a mega fan.
Yeah,
that's why Harley and I do this show. Yeah, is because we're just sitting there being mega fans for all these bands and fawning over them because we know that we kind of see both sides of the curtain. You get to see what it's like being in the crowd and just experiencing music, not analysing it, just being part of it, and then congratulating people, and because what it feels like when other people just do that for you. Yeah. Not so much for you, because they're experiencing it for themselves and they're having a good time for themselves. But when they're just coming up to you afterwards and saying, "I really appreciate this. I didn't really quite like that. What are you doing? how's your career going, that sort of stuff. It's really nice that people pay attention. So I think if you are into your music as a performer, you need to be into your music as an audience member as well. I think otherwise you just run out of things to do then. Otherwise, I mean, that's what I'm looking at every single weekend. I'm going, well, when I don't have a gig on a specific day, I'm sitting there, I'm looking through going, oh, what gigs can I go to?
Yeah.
Is that addiction? I think it's an addict, isn't it? Goodness me. That's a problem, isn't it? So, I think we should play some music by a band that we haven't played or listened to before. I've not actually heard of this band before. They're called GAAAAAAAACK or Gawley, I'm not quite sure. It's Galli. They're from Norwich. They're playing in Ipswich this weekend. So lovely, beautiful, soulful sounds coming from this band. And I think if you like how this sounds, you've got to see them live.
Yeah.
Check it out. This is Sabika by Gawley. Tunecore is now collecting nearly $1 million a day for its independent artists.
Who? I've lost the thingy, damn it.
Just earned over $500 million within a year and a half. Oh, just before we get into the music news, well done to Gawley. That Sabika track is wonderful.
It is, yeah.
I really can't wait to see more of their stuff.
Nice vibes.
So, Tunecore.
Sorry, I messed that up completely.
Not at all, mate. So there are aggregators who distribute, independent artists' music between lots of different streaming services.
Have you used TuneCore?
Yes, I have in the past, yes.
Was it for the album?
The first ever Lockabilly's album. No, the second Lockabilly's album. No, I'm lying. It's both of them. Both the 2015 EP and the 2018 album. So, yeah, I've used them before.
Which was a year old last weekend.
It is, right? How crazy is that? Happy anniversary to me. Happy anniversary. TuneCore says it now distributes over 250,000 artists, which includes music by independent stars like Marshmello, who all of our students want to learn their music all the time.
So it's not just the small guys. There's still some big fries that
self-release.
Yeah,
and they have got 150 digital stores and streaming services that they put your music out to. You can opt out for some of them. I mean, some of the places that your particular fan base won't go. There are some streaming services that are specifically for India, specifically for China, which if you don't actually have fans there,
you're wasting money.
But I mean, it's a lot of the time I don't think you actually have to spend more to get them there.
Oh, okay.
You can just opt out of putting them there.
Just to tidy up your...
I suppose so. But anyway, Media Research has previously estimated that DIY artists generated $643 million worldwide from recorded music royalties during 2018, up by 35%. So it's grown since 2017, sorry. TuneCore has confirmed that its artists earned $308 million in distribution income in 2018, which is up 28% year on year. It suggests that TuneCore's market share of the indie artist landscape may be as high as 45% plus.
That's great.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, so you've got DistroKid. I'm trying to think of other ones off the top of my head. CD Baby. And to have 45% of the independent music distribution market share is pretty huge. I think TuneCore were the first to do this, I'm pretty certain.
Right. I think, we've spoken about TuneCore in the past, and I think that was one of the factoids that comes up.
Factoids. Facts. Which is absolutely amazing. I mean, just the fact that it's gone up year on year is a big deal, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive, and we've talked a lot about how the the vinyl sales are going up as well, and how they're sort of doing really well compared to other years. But it shows that the music industry digitally as well is growing as well.
Yeah, definitely. It was constantly. What else, Harley? What else?
I know.
I've got to the 45% plus bit.
Cool. So artists earned $83 million for the first quarter of 2019.
Just this year.
So that's just this year. That's a great amount. And again, that is a 21% increase on the first quarter. That's equivalent to nearly $1 million per day across the 90 days in Q1.
I mean, $1 million a day going into it to independent artists can't be bad, can it?
Not at all. I like breaking it down into like what people are earning a day. I mean, this is spread towards all the artists, but it's nice to know that, like I say, if they're all getting a small percentage of a large number, that's great.
Yeah.
I think I might have mentioned this fact. I think it was 2017. Ed Sheeran, on average, earned £43,000 a day.
A day.
Which is,
and that's not even, he might not even be working every day.
No, that includes when he's having Sunday roast at his parents'.
Facts.
So that's always a nice thing to go. But so collectively, just on TuneCore, artists are collectively taking $1 million a day for the first quarter of the UK.
Yeah.
I don't know how quarters go in terms of whether the first quarter tends to perform differently.
Really, yeah, it's just really interesting though, because that is just on streaming revenue. It's not taking into account how well they're doing on physical sales outside of that. Also, what people might be getting on MCPS and PRS.
Of course.
I mean, I get more on PRS than I do from streaming royalties.
Yeah.
So those artists that are getting those plays are also getting PRS, especially if they're getting played in public spaces. So that $1 million that TuneCore has distributed can also grow from there, which is great.
Yeah.
There is some debate at the moment though, which is about the streaming part of it, which may need to be addressed in terms of rights, is taking into account where these tracks are getting played, because we've talked about this before, where businesses having business PRS licenses to be shops and office spaces to play music, so it is a public space. So people do have to pay extra for business accounts and extra on PRS.
Yeah.
So that money needs to find its way to the artists as well, because if you can somehow monitor like where these tracks are getting played and the kind of audiences that potentially they could be reaching, that should be reflected in the amount of money that comes back to the artists.
Yeah. I have a question.
Go on.
Which I don't know if you'll have the answer to, but we talked before about...
I really do.
about Spotify and people using personal Spotify accounts rather than business Spotify accounts. As a working musician myself, I use Spotify for learning tracks and stuff.
Right.
Should that be a business account?
That's a very, very good question, actually, because we are using that music to make money.
Yeah.
But I think that music is still getting the same audience.
It's still in a private place.
Yeah. The amount of times that we're playing these tracks, I think we're probably adding the right amount of data for the right amount of money
audience,
to go back to streaming.
I guess that's it. It depends. If you're playing it in a private place, you're thinking maximum 3 or 4 people listening to it. In a public place, it could be heard by hundreds, maybe thousands.
Yes, exactly.
If you're at like music between gigs.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a very good point.
Interesting last little fact about streaming from TuneCore, and in 2018 it says total streams and downloads of music by the TuneCore roster hit 199.3 billion.
Wow.
In 1 year, which is an 83% increase over 2017.
That's big.
That's probably because they've increased the roster of artists they've got.
Of course, right,
and that's exponential, isn't it? It's not often that that people, they're going to be losing clients because more and more people are hearing about it. Yes, cumulative indeed. So, but I mean, 199.3 billion streams of just independent music a year. I mean, that's just good news. That's good news all round, really, isn't it?
It's something I from a slight aside, as we're talking about like statistics and accumulative growth of people being exposed to music and artists and stuff. Rainer Vandel, congratulations. One of his videos reached 1 million views.
1 million.
Yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, man.
Which is amazing. Which is great because it's led to a lot of people recognising him as a musician. Yeah. It's great advertisement for himself.
But it shows that people are still interested in musicians and the life of musicians as well, and how they react to viral videos.
Yeah, we did film a little bit of Saturday's gig. I don't know how much of that will make it onto his blog, but we'll
nice
find out.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just sent us a little message saying thanks as well.
We'll throw him a party.
Oh yeah.
We'll slice it up into 1 million pieces and we'll give one to each viewer of his video.
Exactly. It's a really useless amount of cake, yes.
Yeah. Or just tiny little bits of cake.
Exactly. It'd be nice.
It would be nice.
Cake pops.
Yes. So that's a very interesting point in terms of, like I say, that that there is a front runner for the self-published music. Is that a good advert for people looking to publish their own music, just for them to go, Tunecore's a way to go?
I think it's definitely promising, yes.
Safety in numbers of go with the people that have the most audience, because then they've pleased the most people.
It's true. I have just released my most recent single, Shakes, on DistroKid. The rates on that are actually better.
Okay.
It's cheaper to. I mean, it's so Tunecore. It cost me £45 to release something.
Yeah.
Is
that per track?
No, I think it's
just per
pretty
release?
much unlimited. So it's just sort of like I pay £45 a year and I can upload as much as I want on there. Whereas DistroKid, it was £20. Actually, I think it's even just like £19 something.
Right.
And you get the same kind of thing. Tunecore does distribute to more streaming services, like it says 150 streaming services. DistroKid won't be as many. However, I'm not that fussed about it being on obscure streaming services in the middle of Kazakhstan, because that's just not where my audience is. If you are somebody like Marshmello, and you've got people listening to your music on Fortnite all over the world.
Oh, look, it's on Spotify.
Oh, it is on Spotify, isn't it? My music's on Spotify. Nice. But the thing is, for somebody like me, there's mostly people are going to be listening to it just in the UK. I've got people in America and Canada are listening to it, and places in Europe, but like
Spotify and all the front runners are all in those places.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not going to be worrying too much, and I think they are, like you say, the Apple Music and Spotify, the front runners over there. So there's not much point. But so I thought that was well interesting. Thank you, Harley. Shall we get on to our next little segment? Because it'd be really nice if I could actually find the mouse. There it is. Let's get on to our next segment, shall we, Harley?
Report back this morning.
Jingle.
So, Harley, tell me, what is it we're talking about this week?
So, we were talking about being typecast as a musician. This has come from a conversation me and Lady J, Justine Demir, were having on the way to a gig. I love gigging with Justine because we always drive up to this places together and we always have a nice, really in-depth chat because she's a great mind and she's really studied her art and her profession. She said when she was doing drama, when she was in university, they were talking about the star effect.
Okay.
Which is people will unconsciously project their everything they've seen from someone onto a particular performer.
Right.
That's why you get a lot of like soap op actors doing stuff like panto, because they've been well established in the sort of the mainstream as either being a good guy or a bad guy. So people they don't need to do as much introduction of them as a bad guy when they're doing panto.
Does Phil Mitchell do pantos? I really hope he does.
I know he just does like weird, like he goes into clubs and meets people in clubs.
Ian Beale, just in
there. Yeah, they do that. You can go to a club and have a photo taken with Phil Mitchell. It's weird.
Yeah.
But hey, head down to the unit and you can meet him sometime probably.
Yeah, sure.
So,
in terms of music, how does that translate?
Well, that can translate quite a lot. For example, we are all. I for a long time, I got a lot of people asking me to do blues gigs. I like my blues music. I'm not like an aficionado, but because I cut my teeth at blues jams, people saw me as a blues bass player. Therefore, I got loads of blues gigs out of it, and then kind of I got led into that world. And I don't think I was ever typecast as that, but that became a thing that I was doing, and people wouldn't see me doing the stuff that I wanted to be doing, a bit more of the sort of more technical stuff. I'm not saying blues isn't technical. I'm just saying it's a different. It's a different walk. And so people don't really necessarily see that, and that can be an advantage and it can be a disadvantage.
Definitely. Do you think you get yourself into those messes? I've got the same thing with the Lockabillys. A lot of people think of me as just a rockabilly guitarist. So with me releasing my own stuff, which does sound different, or when I go out and I dress differently to rockabilly, people are looking at me like, you're not on brand. What's going on?
Brandon.
How is it Brandon? That's the thing. How do we get out of those typecasts, do you think?
I think I'm a big fan of when we talk, I was saying about drama and stuff, add some, I think people should see performance as a bit more of an act, a bit of a dramatization. This is something I want to do. When I'm on stage, I feel like people on stage know me.
Right.
And I don't feel like off stage I'm necessarily much of a authoritative performer in the way that a frontman would be, so I would struggle to front a band. I need to get out of that and go, when I'm on stage, I'm not me. I'm then a person, and you see the whole stage thing as an act. You see a lot of bands do that. A lot of artists,
Hot
even
Tramp.
the local. Yeah, I was going to say Josh Carr. He is a beast, an entity in himself.
Demon. That's why he wrote the
He is
song
a
"Demon in Me."
Yeah. Same with Jay Goodridge on Druids.
He's mental off stage and on stage.
Oh yeah, but it's a different mental.
Yeah, true.
And who was the artist he used to play for? Benjamin Bloom.
Right. Yes. True.
Ben, he was his whole stage was a dramatized act, and I'm really a big fan of that because he wears the loud clothes and the big hat and stuff, and if he wanted to do something else, he can then wear a different hat and bring in a different kind of persona to the stage and let people buy into something different.
That's exactly why I've done a couple different bands in the past. So like with the Lockabillys, we went off and did JS and the Pomp. It still can be under that vintage umbrella, but it's gypsy jazz instead.
I would like to... I did say to Raina, when we came to Cosmic Puff, and we turned up like just as you started your Goofer Dust set,
right?
And I was saying how differently you performed with Goofer Dust, because partially because you weren't tied to a mic, but also you weren't centre stage, you weren't front of the stage, and you really sort of enjoyed being a little bit further back and accompanying the band, and your posture and that like showed that really well, and I thought that was really cool. And I think that's a really cool sort of thing in terms of adding that. Right, I do think it's different. I think me and Raina saw a different show to everybody else, however, because we're watching our friend Josh. So we're looking at him and thinking all the silly things he says on the radio show, whereas the strangers are seeing this guy with some awesome facial hair, with lovely slick back hair, playing some incredible guitar, and that's 100% of what they've ever seen of you.
Yeah,
so they see that. So then they see you off stage, like, I didn't know he talked, I just thought he played guitar.
Yeah, exactly. And he's got a really annoying voice as well. But I think
like Alan Carr.
But the thing is, literally just being stuck into a specific genre or even a specific instrument. Sometimes do you find that, like, because I know that you can play guitar and you can play drums. I mean, you're grade 3.
Only
grade 2. Oh.
But don't tell them on grade 3. They might start hiring me. I specifically kind of, when I decided to go full time on being a musician, I said I'm going to stick with bass because of all the instruments, it's my favourite. I think I'm much better at playing bass than I am on guitar. But I find it's easier to market yourself as a bass player than it is to market yourself as a multi-instrumentalist.
Right.
I know a lot of guitarists who play bass, and they're not the first person people think of when they think of, I need a bass player. Whereas there are people who only play bass, and most people who play bass can play other instruments. Most musicians can play multiple instruments. But if you go, I'm a bass player, then when someone goes, I need a bass player, they go, who plays bass? Not
who plays guitar.
Who plays literally every instrument.
Yeah, true. That's what Rich says. He has this problem, Rich Webb, because he's like, his phrase is jack of all trades, master of none. But see, he is really good on every.
He's a master of all trades.
But he wants to be like, he's been playing accordion recently.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if I try and think of people that play accordion, the list is very small.
Oh yeah.
So if people see him playing it, then they'll just be like, wow, I've got a guy that can do it.
I guess being a jack of all trades can be an advantage if you can be literally jack of all trades. Like
you can be a plumber as well.
Well, if you go, I want someone who can play this instrument that no one's ever heard of. I've not even seen the thing before. I've just seen pictures of it.
A hurdy-gurdy.
Yeah, Rich will probably be able to play with it. Just lock him in a room with 10 minutes and he'll be a master at it somehow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the great thing about having YouTube and stuff. But it is interesting, isn't it? But I mean, I think all it is doing the stuff that we do where we play with lots of different types of bands. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I play with Hoppy and the Hopefuls and with Goofer Dust. Yeah. I mean, we do similar stuff to the Lockabillys. It's all guitar-based things, but I get to show off the other side of my playing, and it's the same with you. Way back when you were playing with, who was the prog metal band that you were playing with?
Shattered Skies.
Shattered Skies, yeah, exactly.
Playing with them, and also playing with Mohawk was like a real stretch of my musical vocabulary.
Yeah, and also what people see as your personality. But I think that's the kind of the trick, is just to be seen playing as many different styles as you can.
Certainly.
And then whatever gets you known or famous is going to be the thing that people think of first. But I mean, if you keep practicing and doing different stuff, then I think you can still do that after you've gained some notoriety.
A good note to end on is John Mayer.
Oh,
he is an incredible blues guitarist. People know him as being
Prime Minister. It's John Major. Sorry.
He's well known for being a blues guitarist and knowing and absolutely killing it when he's playing the John Mayer trio, that kind of thing. He can shred. He's a real shredder, and people don't see that side of him because he's kind of doubled down on being that guy, and that's what he gets called for. But when he gets the chance to stretch his wings and do that, he can really rip. Was it Render didn't know he played guitar on Fall Out Boy's version of Beat It. He did a guitar solo on that.
Mad.
Not the most shreddy of solos in his regard, but it was still him playing a completely different style to what he's known for. And he can nail it. He can play most things, but he knows his domain, and he's happy to be typecast in that regard. Yeah.
So you can live with it if you want, or you can try and branch out of it, eh? But let's get on to our next section, eh? Let's do some stuff and talk about things.
Let's do things.
First quick thing I want to shout out is my mum, Laura Locke, who also hosts the Laura Unlocked show on Felixstowe Radio. She's having a cocktails and conversation meetup at Copaz Bar. I did it for you there in Felixstowe, Thursday, 6:30. It's basically all for women who are professionals and they want to meet other women in their industry or across industries to sort of collaborate in.
That's a really cool little thing.
I mean, it doesn't happen often, so hopefully it will happen more often as well, because new owners of Copas are actually female, so it's kind of a bit of solidarity there. So if you are a woman and you want to meet different ladies working in the industry as professionals, go to Thursday 6:30 cocktails and conversation at Copas Bar. There we go. I did it all. I covered all the things. Smoking Donuts, Les Carter, USM and Dooza, Dystopian Sound Collective, and the Interesting Times Gang are playing at the Smokehouse. That is Friday, the 19th. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a big old audio file experience.
Yeah,
I like the sound of that
audio
one.
File.
Your mate.
My mate.
Your mate.
Which one?
Joe G.
Oh, Joe.
Are you playing in his band?
I'm afraid I'm not.
You're not?
No, I'm off on a stag night.
Oh, rock and roll, mate. This Saturday, 18th of May, they're playing with the Interesting Times Gang and Ellie Tree, as well as Jeremy Johnson at the Smokehouse. There's loads going on at the Smokehouse this weekend. It's pretty good, isn't it?
It's going to be good.
I like that.
Should we talk about Algae?
Yes, mate.
Yeah. So
we're playing with each other.
So Friday, we're going to be at the Shamrock. Hoppy and the Hopefuls.
Friday, Harley and the Hoppies are playing at the Shamrock this Friday.
Is this going to be OG lineup?
I believe so.
Nice.
I can't think of anything else. I haven't noticed anything else. The Vagaband. I'm going to be playing their music to finish the show off. That's this May 17th, 8:45 to 11:30 at the Salutation.
Nice.
I think they'll go down really, really well there. You guys stick around to the end of the show to listen to what they sound like. Caswell is releasing her Blind Side on vinyl. Her EP on vinyl this Friday 17th of May at the Long Shed at Wistocks at Tide Millway in Woodbridge. So that's the first time I think she's done the album launch here.
Nice.
Because she launched it in London.
Right, yeah.
Originally. So that'll be really good. Get it on vinyl. That was great.
That was a nice mention that we did the 5011 Jam, Watermelon Jam.
Yes.
Was at the May Day party in the park thing on the 5th of May before we came to Cosmic Puffin, and Caswell came up and sang some stuff and all of her band and stuff. It was awesome.
That's great. Obviously, more of that. Yeah. Galli, who we played earlier, or Gawley, I've really got to figure out how to pronounce that. This
Galli.
May 18th, which is Saturday, and it's Galli. I mean,
I'd say Galli.
Galloway. They're playing at 10 o'clock at Three Wise Monkeys in Ipswich. Hoping that I get to do sound for that, which will be loads of fun. I mean, really nice sort of Jeff Buckley singer-songwriter sound stuff, but with a little bit of that West African jazz involved. And the last big shout I want to give out to is Pessimist. They're playing the Smokehouse this Sunday, and I believe the lineup is amazing. They've got State of Millennia, In and Out of Sleep, and Easttown Pirates guitarist Sam is playing with his band Back to the Point. That is the Smokehouse this Sunday, May 19th, £3 to get in for all those bands. That's really good, that is. So, yeah, mate, that was loads of fun. Thank you for listening, guys.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, good to catch up, man.
It has been really good. I look forward to doing this next week, kind of. We'll have Mr. Dan Harvey with us next week. Yes,
Daniel Lee Harvey will be with us. We're going to be pre-recording next week's show. So you guys stick around on the page and let us know if there are any specific things you want us to talk about, etc. But yeah, thanks for listening. This is Something Wicked This Way Comes by The Vagaband. Love you.